Three, two, one.
Hey everybody, we are back. This week we are the cool ass nerdy dudes. My name is John Beal. I got my man Kev right here with the hat.
Yeah.
And Steve over there. What's going on, y'all?
Chilling,
Let's
man.
do it like we did the first time, man, a little while ago.
Oh man.
Episode 3, y'all. Episode 3.
Episode 3, man.
Hopefully we'll get better with each episode, as we said. So, bear with us. It'll be some growing pains, but like I said, bear with us and come at us. Give us some positive, give us some negative, give us the real.
So today we are talking about what are we talking about?
Music and culture. Music and how its influence on culture.
Yeah, so
Where it was, where it is, and where it's possibly going to go.
cultural programming.
There you go. And eventually we'll, I guess, segue some TV into that as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if we're gonna do that today, but definitely we definitely want to talk about music. We're all three music guys.
So, Steve,
What's happening?
when you were coming up,
Yes, back in the 1900s.
yeah, music was happy.
It was. I mean, it was a lot more upbeat. I mean, you had obviously you're gonna have upbeat, you're gonna have slow, you're gonna always have that, and yeah, and even lyrically, music was happy. Music was a lot more happy than it is now. You had your slow songs, your sad songs, but now, I guess if that's what we're talking about, well, we're gonna talk about both then and now.
Yeah,
It's a lot more depressing now, and even the upbeat stuff is depressing now, and I think it has a horrible influence on us. Maybe not us. It does influence us because we have to listen to it and we have opinions on it, and our opinions aren't. I know my opinion is definitely not good on what's really going on today. We have good music today, but unfortunately, you have to really seek it out. Our mainstream stations, they don't give a damn about us and what we're listening to. They don't. It's I feel that.
when we get a little bit further into it, I'm gonna break some stuff down scientifically for you.
Okay.
But I will say that in the early 70s, late 70s, early 80s, actually, I remember when Atlanta had V103 was called the People Station. And V103 used to play a variety of music.
They did.
I remember when you could hear the average white man, Hall and Oates, and Roger Troutman and Zapp, and
In
Prince.
the same top 10.
Prince on the top 10,
Same
and
top 10.
Rick James,
Yeah.
all Tina Marie,
Tina Marie, definitely.
George
Michael and Wham.
George Michael, Wham,
Even Phil Collins.
Culture Club.
Phil
Culture
Collins.
Club.
'Cause
Yeah, Phil Collins
When,
on
when, when In
V103.
the Air Tonight came out, everybody, I think country stations were playing that. But,
Right.
yeah,
Everybody was playing that. I mean, I wouldn't have known, honestly, I wouldn't have known who George Michael was if it wasn't for Mike Roberts in the morning. I'm just,
I remember Mike Roberts.
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting.
yeah, seriously. I mean, I wouldn't have known.
Simply Red. I mean, stations people, I'll
absolutely.
keep holding on. I'm not holding. What was it called?
That's
Yeah.
Major Cut.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
That's interesting.
there was, there was a real cross section of music happening, and it wasn't until corporate interests started taking over and started programming us and said, okay, we're going to start separating, black music here, white music here. And in the 90s, when hip hop started becoming really, really positive, when there was Fight the Power with Public Enemy,
KRS-One, the Jungle Brothers.
Boogie Down Productions,
Exactly.
when folks were doing ultra, conscious rap, when
And
folks
that came out of the Marvin Gaye's doing that came from really what's going on.
absolutely,
It just kept the fight going for what
Yes.
people were going through. I mean, we're to a certain extent, fresh out of the civil rights movement.
yes,
So people were making a statement. I mean, we made statements with our afros and how we wore our hair, how the things we said. What's up? What's happening, man? And
absolutely.
yeah. So it was a statement.
And so when you had this emergence of West Coast gangster rap that took hold. Which there's a place for it. I'm not going to sit here.
We listen to it.
There's a place for it. But when the record label said, "Hey, this works. Let's let that be the main thing, and let's suppress positive rap."
I can agree with that.
Let's make this the main thing, and Luther Campbell. Let's make that the main thing.
2 Live Crew. I think it was a gradual. I think it was gradual, though. I don't think it was just all of a sudden thing. I mean, it was gradual because again, you got to think.
It was gradual, but it was also fast tracked. It was fast tracked. It was fast tracked over a period of about 2 years.
No, I don't think it was that soon because I have every Public Enemy album out. I have every KRS One, every. Well, Jungle Brothers only put out 3 that I know of, but this was years. KRS One, he didn't put out an album. He put out an album just about every year. He was like Prince. And when you're talking about 10, 11 albums, and you say 2 years, but that wasn't fast track because we were listening to them all the way through from the 85. Well, when did he come out with Criminal Minded? That was 83.
Yes, but I'm saying, but the fast track started happening. The change started happening between 1997, 1995, and 1997.
It was before that.
Is when the change started really happening. And I'm going to tell you when it coincided with Freaknik, with the change at the end of Freaknik.
Yeah, but that started in 86, 87. That wasn't the 90s. The 90s, Freaknik was ending.
The end of Freaknik is when it started changing. With the end of Freaknik. When Freaknik, I'm not talking, Freaknik peaked in 1994. Freaknik peaked in 1994.
But we were listening to the 2 Live Crew.
We were listening. But in 1990, when we were listening to the 2 Live Crew, we were listening to both Luthers. We were listening to Luther Vandross and Luther Campbell.
Yeah. But still,
I'm just saying, we
so
were.
I guess where you're trying to go is
there was balance in the force.
Yeah, but I still say, I remember where I lived. I lived in, I still live in College Park, but the part of College Park we lived in, just the home that I grew up in, I just remember my pops wasn't with me listening to the 2 Live Crew. And I remember me and one of my boys were listening and damn near laughing like we did with, Richard Pryor. But that was still 88, 89.
Yeah.
When you say 97, man, that was long.
No, we were.
So that's why I say it didn't fast track in 2 years. This was gradual.
I'm saying we
started.
were listening.
NWA started when NWA came out with their first CD.
That was late 80s.
That was
88, 89. 90.
And who was first? What's my man who was in NWA? Eazy-E. Was he before NWA? I know he's part of it, but did he come out first and then bring out NWA, or was it NWA and then he?
I think it was. I can't remember. I think he was around.
We can obviously look it up, but
NWA and then they
but
split.
Why are you looking it up? I'm saying there was still balance, man.
It was.
It was still balance. What I'm talking about, the fast track happened around the time. When did Tupac and Biggie, that
and this
beef
says
happen?
NWA is 87.
So when
Pac died in 96. So how long did he?
When Pac died, and then Biggie shortly after, right?
Was it Pac first? Pac was 96. Was Biggie?
Pac died in 96. When
was Biggie?
Biggie died in 97. So they're 6 months after each other. So once that happened, the music started getting much darker.
It looked as though they were as if it was meant to happen, and so that we can move them out of the way.
We moved them out of the way. The music started getting much darker.
Even though Pac was he was lyrical, but he was also sometimes he could come at you with some bullshit.
And then so I'm not gonna sit here and say that Death Row or Bad Boy, but maybe they had something to do with it, but
yeah, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother episode.
But I really think it was the powers that be over them that had more to do with it.
I can agree.
The people that were
I know it
green,
didn't just happen.
the people that were green lighting them, that had more to do with.
Let's move them out of the way so
Yeah,
we can bring in this.
so
bull,
we can bring
more
in-
of the bullshit.
So, and I said I was going to go a little bit scientific on it. So here's the thing. So the music behind it, what was going on, not just the lyrical content, the actual music, what was happening too behind the thing. So you have major chords, minor chords, and I'm not going to get too technical. Major chords are generally happier sounding chords. Okay. Minor chords are usually sadder sounding chords in general. Then you have what's called diminished chords, which are angrier, tense sounding chords. So you started having more music that had minor and diminished chords in hip hop music and in R&B. Usually in the music before, you had those type of chords, but they were used as passing tones that would resolve to the major chords. So you would give you that tension, but then it would release to the happiness.
Okay.
But what
Technical on this.
but what's turned in what is happening now, and what is evolved to, is this music never releases. It's just staying in that anger or sadness in the music. And even now, with the current state of music, you have everything is in these long drones and synth patches that are just dark sounding, and it's depressed, drug-induced music that has everybody just feeling sad and depressed.
And that's you're talking about just hip hop when you talk about.
I'm talking about hip hop and R&B.
And we're talking about not only the
and even pop music. Some pop music now that's been influenced by hip hop and R&B.
So are we trying to talk about its influence on us mentally, or we're talking about?
I'm talking about the influence on us mentally, because it has music has a subliminal influence on
Everybody,
on everything we do. So there's a conversation that you and I had one day. This was probably 12, 13 years ago. And we were talking about, you were talking about one of your colleagues listening to the kind of music that they were listening to get themselves hyped up before they were going to deal with a perp. And you were saying that you listen to smooth jazz so that you have an easy attitude to go listen. There's a reason for that.
And I think that goes back to mentality, though, because that colleague, their mentality is, I got to get out here and prove something. I have nothing to prove. I'm me. My job doesn't make me, my clothes don't make me. I'm me. When I go out there and deal with people, I'm dealing with it from my perspective. So, when I listen to whatever I listen to, it's based on my mood for that day. That particular day I do remember, and I remember him saying, he was around me when I was getting my car ready, because, before each shift, we have to get our vehicles ready and make sure everything's good. Lights work, this, that, it's clean. Right. And I had it on CLK on that particular day. That was my mood for the day. Yeah. And he was like, "Well, no wonder you don't get out there and just run and gun all day, because that's what you listen to." And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you think I should listen to?" And then they come up with this nonsense that we listen to today. And I'm like, yeah, there's no reason for me to listen to that, because I think it controls you. Now, again, I say that to say music doesn't control me. It controlled him. So a lot of this, unfortunately, is going to kind of what we're saying. Well, I guess
it's not that it controls you, but it does set the tone of your mood.
Like workout music.
It controls those that are weak mentally.
It
can.
It can.
But there's something to how it sets the tone. Like there's a whole thing called music therapy. White noise, even down to frequencies. Frequencies have healing powers, and frequencies have destructive powers. It's real. Okay. It's used in science. There's a whole industry of people who study things that are designed to create things to change your mood. Like, I don't know if they got calming apps on your phone right now that play white noise in certain frequencies to just calm you down. That's not by accident. So certain frequencies in music are designed for the same purpose.
Baby songs, lullaby
Music.
types of
It's the
things.
same. It's the same thing. It's not by accident that football players before a game are listening to certain music. Like there's a style of music called drill music right now.
It goes back to what I said about what he was listening to, saying why I'm not a particular way. I'm not the officer that he is versus the officer that he is because he listens to this, but it controls him. It gets him hyped. I don't need to get hyped before I go to shift. I don't want to go out there and be like, I'm about to arrest everybody. It's about to be on. Yo, yeah. What up? Hey, Robinson is out here, everybody. I'm on the streets now. What's good? It's a training day every day. I work in the hood, true. I mean, there's certain...
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
I don't end the shift like that, so I don't start it or end it like that.
Yeah.
Pull up into an apartment complex. Y'all know what's good. You know I'm here, baby. You know what happened yesterday. I don't need that. You know what I mean? I want it to be as calm as possible. Rarely is it, but I want my shift to be as calm as possible because if it's not, I guess I need to call him. Hey, dog, I need you over here. Bring that young thug with you. Bring that, because this jazz is not working right now. I'm about to arrest this dude, and he's not feeling Miles Davis right now. His Miles is not working. This kind of blue is not working. And we listen to it on the way to jail a lot of times. Them brothers be like, man, can you at least put it on this? And I'm like, nah. You know what I'm saying? That's your fault. You in the back seat. You listening to what I'm listening to.
Oh, you mean
had I been listening to that other bull,
You mean the folks you're transporting to jail?
Yeah.
They want you to change the music?
Yeah, I mean, them dude, man, you'd be surprised at what they ask for.
Really?
Yes, it's like, man, can I get a cigarette, dude? A lot of them.
Hold on.
They go, and a lot of them know that I'm about to go. They know that, hey, man, I'm on probation. So the fact that I got arrested today, yeah, it's on, dude. I need to hear this, and I need a cigarette because I'm not going to hear it for a long time. I'm going to go down, and the main things, I'm about to go down the road, dog. That's the main, I'm about to go down the road. Some of them, no. I mean, I just happen to show up at your house. It's the first time. Yeah, you got to go today because of what happened. A lot of them, you'll probably be out. You see a judge in the morning, you'll be out, most likely. You got to go today. But a lot of them, no. Dude, based on what I've done in the past, yeah, I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out for a minute. So can I get a cigarette, dude? Can you put it on 107.9 for me right quick, man? I just want to hear this for a minute because blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah.
No.
So yeah, it's like no, I can't do it. I can't stomach a lot of this today, man. And I can stomach some stuff because I see a lot of stuff. But
it's George Duke for you, sir.
And that's my dude. And George Duke is in my top 5. It's funny you say that, but yeah, George Duke is my dude. I love listening to George Duke, but a lot of them get schooled because I'm like, this is a different. And it's funny because the lack of, I won't say education, but the lack of them not hearing anything but today, especially hip hop, because I'll have on some jazz and they'll be like, what kind of music is that? So that's music that's the same thing we listen to just without the words, huh? I'm like, yeah, I guess you could say that. That's wild, man. And they'll act like they like it. Oh, I'm feeling that.
So,
but we wanted to talk about. And I appreciate you breaking down the scientific side of it.
So I teach a music appreciation class at Clark Atlanta University. Shout out to my HBCU.
Clark Atlanta, Tennessee State here.
And so one of the things that I get a chance to do is I talk to my students, and one of the things that I recently had them do was find the original songs for
what was sampled.
Mm-hmm. And there's a song by Kanye right now called Blood on the Leaves. Mm-hmm. And it was sampled Billie Holiday's version of Strange Fruit.
Okay.
And so I
miss old Kanye. Oh my God.
When I introduced the original song Strange Fruit, they'd never heard. Mm-hmm. And once I played Blood on the Leaves for them, then they were like, oh, wow. So then we went down the whole rabbit hole of all of these different songs that were, samples. And so then they had to go and find the original songs or that kind of thing. So there was a whole exercise that we did. So that's how I've been introducing a lot of
Real
my
music
students
to you.
into,
original music. to 'em.
original music.
Yeah.
The other thing I've been doing is finding stories where, I have to introduce them to people like, Mozart and Vivaldi and Handel and all that. And so one thing I learned, even teaching this class, was that Handel and Vivaldi had beef with each other.
Okay. I've
And-
never heard of either one of those, but I will
They
go
were so they were Baroque
research.
They were Baroque composers.
Okay.
So you've heard of Handel because Handel is
I've probably heard some music,
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You've heard that
Yeah, of
the
course,
Hallelujah
yeah.
chorus. So Handel wrote the Hallelujah chorus. Well, he and Vivaldi had beef with each other, and they challenged each
But
other.
they didn't have beef like Pac and Biggie.
No. They actually did. They challenged each other to a duel, and I think Handel ended up shooting
About
Vivaldi.
the swords.
He shot him
Oh wow.
with a
Same kind of beef, huh?
he shot him, and he survived. They survived, and they ended up being friends.
Wow. So he was Pac.
Yeah.
Pac survived with 6 shots. So Handel was Pac, and go ahead.
But it's funny. So I was telling my students, and I was like, so even back then in the 1700s or 1600s, I'm messing up the dates right now. But so YouTube, don't crucify me for messing up these dates. But I was telling my students, so even back then, this was the first rap battles.
Wow. Wow.
So this beef between Drake and Kendrick, this ain't nothing new.
Right.
It's been beefing
Folks
on
back
since
then-
the 1800s, 1700s.
The
man.
folks,
Duels.
they had duels back then, man. So it's nothing new under the sun. So
No doubt. It's not.
Cool.
But looking at that, let's look at the cultural influence.
Yeah.
And why it's different today than it was yesterday. I think, do we want to say it's because of family, the way we were brought up? Because, again, the 2 Live Crew, NWA, they didn't affect me like music affects the youngsters today. I would listen to that. Again, basically one of my favorite groups is the Jungle Brothers, and KRS-One, and KRS-One is my favorite rapper of all time, but we had groups like that. We would go back and forth, and it didn't influence me. I would say I had more of an influence from Public Enemy and Boogie Down Productions than I did at NWA, because whatever they were talking about, I didn't want to go out and start yelling bitches and hoes, and because of that. But I think that's because of my upbringing. It's just I didn't want to embarrass my family name. So not saying I didn't embarrass their name in other ways, but now it's no biggie. Now it's all good to go out there. You see young brothers talking to sisters now, and they're like, "This is my bitch, man," and that's normal. And the sisters are accepting that. So I think that's what we kind of wanted to touch on as well when we were speaking of the cultural influence of
Normalizing
it.
it.
So
What's the difference? What's the difference now? Why was our influence? Why were we not influenced as big as they are influenced now? Meaning they could hear this music today and they emulate the music where we wanted to emulate. I wanted to emulate Chuck D. Again, I keep saying the same people. Chuck D, KRS-One. That's who I wanted to be. That's who I wanted to emulate.
again, there's no balance.
Right.
Because
But there was a balance.
There was 2 Live Crew, and I listened to 2 Live Crew.
Right.
I was in 7th grade when 2 Live Crew was big. I mean, and I was listening as a middle schooler. So it influenced me, and I was loving it. Hey, we want some. I mean, so
listen up, y'all, because
this is it.
Yeah.
Forget that old dance and throw that. Oh man, that was my ish, man. I loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the
you played it at
that
certain
was-
times too. It was
but
certain
at
places.
the same time, man, I was listening to Full Force.
Full
Love
Force.
is for suckers like me. Come on, man.
Force MDs.
At the same time, I was listening to Force MDs.
Yeah.
At
true.
the same time, I was listening to
Prince.
my radio.
Yeah.
Believe
Yeah.
me, I like it loud.
There was competition with the music. You had
At the same
competition.
time,
there was some competition.
at,
And it was creative back then
Yes.
as well. People wanted to be like, I want to be different than the
Yeah.
next one.
right. There
yes,
you go.
at the
yeah.
But again,
at
the
same-
influence.
At the same time, I was listening to Color Me Bad. At the same time, I was listening to Keith Sweat.
Sting,
At the same time, I was listening to Sting. Yes.
Genesis.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
I don't know
You're
where
right.
it went left somewhere.
Yeah, they're guiding now. They couldn't control us then. I think it's a bigger control now because I think the breakdown of the family. The breakdown of the family has a big part of how we're controlled now, or how they are controlled now, because we're not controlled by it. We still are out here acting as individuals in all that we do, I would say. Where now I don't think, you had Prince fighting Warner Brothers. You had
Yeah.
other artists saying, I'm not going to, you're not going to control me. This is my music. Prince always had on his album, written, produced, and arranged by Prince. And he didn't like being controlled. Now it's I don't mind being controlled because I want that money, so I can go out here and buy me 8 Bentleys. I can be out here, I can go in the club and do whatever. And that's what it's all about now. It's nothing about being original now.
So lack of fathers in the home.
Well, we could say...
I'm not gonna say lack of fathers.
Yeah, but what's
not gonna-
causing that? Because I don't want to go with that agenda that there's a whole bunch of deadbeats, because we know...
No.
Lack of fathers in the home is not just because fathers don't want to be in the home.
No.
There are some.
Listen to what I'm saying. I didn't say lack of fathers in the kid's life. Lack of fathers in the home. There's
Makes a difference. Yeah, you're right. Because like I said, my dad being in the home, he was
It's
like,
a-
you're
it's-
not going to listen to this
It's
in
different.
my house.
It's different because there's a whole lot of dads that are in kids' lives, but that are not in the home.
24/7, so we can
There's-
have a bigger influence all the time instead of, okay, I'm there, well, when I pick them up on the weekends or
Yeah,
what have
because
you.
you can't control what your child is doing or exposed to
If you're not there at 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a constant stream these days. It's like it never stops. Like we had records we played.
Yeah.
Then we had CDs or cassette tapes, then CDs, and you had a Walkman, right? But now, at some point, you had to put that thing down, and we couldn't have it in schools.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And your parents knew exactly what you were listening to.
But
They
the
knew
other,
exactly
the
what you-
other,
that's
the
true.
other side to it, man, is we don't know everything that our kids are listening to. You cannot,
You can't
you
do it.
cannot keep tabs on every single thing that they're
No, it's
doing these
impossible.
days. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
And it's impossible, especially once they get to a certain age.
Well, we don't know everything that they're listening to, but we have a very good idea.
We have a
Because
good-
again, if we pull up what's hot now,
We have a good idea.
we know that most of our kids in today's society are listening to this top 10, and it's not good. And it's again,
but it's not
becoming-
just the music. Like for example, my I'm about to put my son on blast right now. He's gonna hate me for this, but I don't care. He's my son.
What's his name? No, Skid, go ahead, man.
So I'm gonna put my son. I'm not gonna say which one.
Because John got a lot of kids.
He
No,
spends
I'm just playing.
he spends his time on Reddit,
Uh-oh.
and it was probably a year or so before we figured out that he was on Reddit. Because he was slick about it. Because he has to use his device to do his homework. That's because all of their devices they use their devices. They don't have books anymore.
Yeah.
So like all of their stuff is on their devices. So he's on his device, doing his homework, but he's got a Reddit screen open at the same time on the side. And he's slick because all he had to do, if I walked in, he had to tap and the Reddit screen would close.
Oh yeah.
If I walked in. And it wasn't until one day I walked in and caught him because he was, he had some stuff up on the Reddit screen that he had no business he was 13 at the time, and it was some stuff that he had no business as a 13-year-old, looking at. I was like, dang, I mean, it was some stuff that made me blush. And I'm a grown ass man. And I was like, dang.
Yeah, it's dark out there, bro.
But but the thing is, because I'm in the home, once I realized that he was there looking at it, rather than sit here and chew him out and have, start screaming at him and have a whole thing, it's like, hey, stop. Hey, me and you need to have a real conversation.
Right.
And it ended up being me and him first. Then I had, me, him, and his mom got in, had to have a conversation. So my wife, so we all had to have a conversation. But me and him had to have the conversation first.
Right.
So that was something that, that happened. So now we're cool. And he's still on Reddit. But,
He just has an idea of like, if I get on this, I kind of know how my pops feels, and I know this might not be the greatest thing in the world for me to watch right now, or look at, or listen to.
Oh no! Now we have open conversations.
Right.
But
he knows right from wrong as far as what it's
Absolutely.
what he's listening to.
Absolutely, we have
And
open.
that's a big part of our problem
Mm-hmm.
now is these kids don't know right from wrong. There's nobody telling them this is wrong, and most of it is wrong. If, like I said, if I pull up right now the top 10 hip hop cuts and the lyrics of these hip hop cuts, it's sickening.
Yeah, you couldn't read them on YouTube. If you were to read them on YouTube, they'd flag the video.
It's sick. But these kids, this is their influence, and it's like that's sad that's the breakdown, and that's a big part of what we need to be discussing and trying to influence people to get away from.
So here's the other side to it. It's not. You said it's not just the music though, and it's directly related. So the other side to it is, I don't know if you have your kids that are interested in anime. I don't know. Anime is really, really big right now.
Japanese
with the kids.
Is that Japanese?
Yeah, the Japanese animation. We used to call it Japanimation when we were kids, but they just call it anime now. And the anime is directly related with this hip hop style that's in right now. They coexist with each other, and it's crazy. Even like down to the dark music that I was talking about, the dark tones, tonality, and the English translations of some of the music that goes along with it, and the messaging. It's all part of the cultural influence, and it's having an effect on the kids too if you don't have conversations with them about it.
Right. And there's nobody to have these conversations because you got to think, again, being in law enforcement, I go into a lot of homes at all times of day and night, and with that being said, we just outside of the music, the weed that I smell that these parents are smoking with these kids, that's affecting the kids' mentality. The trauma that these kids deal with on a daily basis, hearing gunshots, knowing they come home to their doors kicked in. And that's a direct correlation to the music. Because again, if you listen to the music, if you listen to hip hop now, today's hip hop, for the most part, it's glorifying everything that they're seeing, everything that they're doing in this day and time is glorified, and there's nothing good about what's happening. When you had Chuck D saying, "I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened and read it. Said it was like," he was, that was his thing against the government and what the government was doing to people. But now it's all the same. It's all, like I said, I can pull up right now the top 10 hip hop cuts, and it's gonna be the same thing as probably what NWA was talking about.
So why are you pulling up the top 10? Pull up. Why are you doing that? So the other day, you were dealing with these water boys, the exes, right?
Yeah.
So the other day, water boys are standing around, and I'm like, my biggest pet peeve with them is how aggressive they are.
Mm-hmm.
But my second biggest pet peeve is the fact that they leave their trash at the exit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote my window down. I said, hey man, I don't really want any water, man, but I'm gonna give you this 20 right here. I'm gonna give you $20. I said, only thing I ask, man, is that y'all don't leave your trash, man. He said, oh, Unc, man, fuck that, blah, 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 blah. And we're gonna do what we want. Man, you know what? I'm not gonna leave the 20 then. And then he said, well, fuck you then, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, never mind.
And if we would have said that when we were growing up,
and I rolled my window.
and my dad or mother would have heard that I said something like that to somebody,
and I just rolled my window back up, and then he acted like he wanted to pull a pistol out on me, and I was like, and I just literally just said, hey man, you don't want to do that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just so normal for him.
It is.
And that's like that. To me, that's abnormal as hell. As a
And that's all
grown
I'm
man.
gonna,
What are the influences?
and that's all I'm gonna say
What's
on
the
that.
Yeah.
influence?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I understand totally. What's the influence? That's the thing. That's what we need to deal with.
It's a constant stream of influence from everywhere. Music, imagery.
But it's the most of it
Imagery,
is music.
music.
Most
But-
is
you're right.
music in
But
our
all-
image.
Right.
And I'm trying, but I'm trying,
Constitute.
but I'm
Never
trying
is.
to
24/7. It's
But I'm
24/7.
trying to engage this young man on a on a human level. Like, hey man, I'm about to give you this $20 because I'm trying to support
Yeah.
your entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
But all I'm asking you to do is not leave your trash behind.
Yeah.
And you can't even.
Yeah. It's such a
You
depressed
can't
mental
even.
state. Man.
You can't even receive that.
Yeah. At such a young age, and that's the depressing. At such a young age.
It broke my heart that he couldn't receive that. Man.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say for some of these kids, the most functional place that they'll ever be in their lives is that hospital when they're born. When they leave that hospital, a lot of these kids go right into dysfunction.
Yep.
And
That's a
they
good
and that's going to be their place for the rest of their lives. And when these kids were no more than what, 16, 17?
No,
yeah,
not
they're 12
even,
and 13.
12, 13.
I see him too. Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you,
That's a damn good
every
point.
day is dysfunction.
Right.
So-
and it's normal to them. Talking to you that way is normal. They've heard it. They've
There's
seen it.
nobody to tell them that
Nobody-
that's not
yeah.
how you're supposed to talk to an
Right,
adult.
because that's how they talk to them. You know, Eddie Murphy had a joke. I think he said he was called nigger so much when he was coming up as a kid. He thought his name was. They call little motherfuckers so much they think that's their. It's normal, right?
So that's this ain't the topic, but you bring in something. People who are pro-life versus pro-choice
Yeah,
don't want to be pro-life for a person's whole life. Meaning, they want to be pro-life, but they don't want to support that life once that life leaves the hospital.
And they don't know how to support it because, again, they're just what Kev said. Not only are they brought into that lifestyle, the person that brought them into this life is a part of that lifestyle. Again, goes back to what I said
So-
about going into some of these homes, man. The weed that's in there, the music,
Yeah.
what's on TV. And you got some ignorance on TV, and they are never on. You know, they're not watching the Cosby Show. They are watching Love and Hip Hop, which is
Ratchet.
the worst thing in history. The Real Housewives of Atlanta. All they do is bitch this, bitch, and you. Come on, that's all they do.
and then add social media to that, so
Right.
TikTok and all that other stuff.
So
Yeah,
they filmed the episode of Love and Hip Hop here at the studio, and I had
My bad.
No. They no. I put the production out. I literally had to put them out of here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Due to how they were acting.
They disrespected my studio.
Wow.
I got you. What are the other shows? I mean, those are
Yeah.
the shows that project our image.
Yeah.
Those are the shows that project our image. We don't have we will never, ever, ever have another Cosby Show. I'm saying that today. We would never have another Cosby Show. That was, in my opinion, the greatest show ever. I love the depiction of us. Cos knew what he was doing. He knew what he wanted to do. That's the image that he wanted to project. The class of the show, the people that he brought on the show, jazz artists, blues artists, great singers, Lena Horne. Joe Williams.
Yeah.
You know, we could just go on and on and on
Sandman.
with people.
Challenge.
Yeah, Sandman was on
Yeah.
there. He had everybody that we would look up to, and the shows were so classy. I mean, I remember the show where he had Mavis Staple singing it was off of Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On," which is the greatest album ever. What's Going On? Holy. She sang "Holy," and to show the audience, because I think a lot of when he did certain things, I think a lot of it was actual things that were going on at Morehouse or Spelman at the time. But he would just enter the show.
Yeah.
But I think that might have been a real graduation going on at Spelman or Morehouse at the time. But he integrated it to make it look like it was a part of the show and made it look like it was when he graduated from, what was it, Stillman?
Yeah.
Hillman, my bad,
Yeah.
Hillman. And I mean, when I look at that, if you look at her singing "Holy," oh my God, you sat there. I sat there in amazement, and I think because all three of us were raised kind of the same, we all were raised with some class. We were raised with some morals, some values. We could look at that and appreciate it. Yeah, we were. We could look at that and appreciate the hell out of it, and I still do because I watch the Cosby Show all the time now when it's on.
Yeah.
And it's just it's so sad that now this is the image that we have. It's supported. It's supported, and it's not only supported by our kids, but it's supported by the people raising these children. So the cycle will continue.
It continues. Yeah,
that's what's sad, and I hate to see people our age supporting the Cardi B's, the Megans, the Lottos, the Young Thugs, the whoever else is out there, the Migos. And I know these people are popular, and people will go, well, they give turkeys away they give toys away on Christmas and give turkeys on Thanksgiving. That's 2 days out of the year. What are they doing the rest of the year? Look at the influence. The influence is much worse. Their influence is much worse than those one day.
I like
one day
Cardi
they
B,
do
though,
that.
man.
Okay, that's good for you. I don't. I despise it. Despise it. But this is what we need to. This is what we need to offset.
She got a fat booty.
Speaking of which is weird. I see how I segued, not segue, but see how what I did there. I brought in the offset. We need to offset cardio.
I see what you did there.
Offset cardio.
Okay, I see what you did there. Yeah.
But
I
this
see what
is,
you did there.
Yeah, this is the
That was pretty good.
influence, and so everybody is walking around wanting to be them. I mean, who did we want to be? Who did we want to be? We wanted to be Bill Cosby. We wanted to be Prince. We wanted to be Michael. We wanted to be Lena Horne.
I didn't
we
want
wanted
to be Bill Cosby.
That's who we are doing. Well, it's because of whatever the charge is. But
No,
come on.
wanted to be
and I'm not
Denise's
saying
boyfriend.
you. I'm saying these were the images that we had to look up to. Look at what they did. Bill Cosby is arguably the greatest entertainer ever for what he did. I mean, he brought us Fat Albert, which was a show ahead of its time.
I love Bill Cosby. Man, don't get it twisted.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And that's just one person I'm just talking about.
And I still think he's innocent.
I do too. I think he was set up because everybody says, oh, he wanted to buy NBC. I don't believe that's what it was. I believe Bill Cosby was the most powerful black man in entertainment. And what happened was Bill Cosby was influencing us to go against what the system wants us to be.
Yep.
There was an agenda. Everybody wanted to go to college when A Different World was out.
Yep.
Everybody wanted to do something positive when Bill Cosby, when the Cosby Show was on.
He single-handedly tripled the enrollment at AU Center.
And HBCUs, period.
Yeah.
And
that's what
it was
culture's
like, we
supposed
got to
to
get,
do.
it's just like Biggie and Pac, we were talking, we got to get him out of the way in order to bring in this bullshit that we listen to now that's influencing our kids, because they know our children of today don't have the influence that we had then. It was easy for us to look up to a Bill Cosby because I had a father that was like that.
Yep.
I had a father and a mother who was, there was Heathcliff and Claire Huxtable.
Yep.
They didn't play in that household. And it wasn't they knew everything I was doing. And I was influenced by that. I was influenced by my uncles and aunts. Same thing.
Yeah.
They were the same people.
Yep.
And they made sure these are the type people that you're going to be around, no matter what, even their friends. That's all I saw was, I know fictional characters, but they were realistic characters. All I saw was Claire and Heathcliff everywhere I went. When I went to cookouts with my parents to their different friends, that's what we saw. The kids were outside.
I know that
here.
world. I know that world.
Yeah, but now you go to whatever. Yeah, we do, and that's what I want. I want for my daughter, the mother of my child, and I. That's what we want for our daughter, and she sees that. She sees that in our influence.
Yep.
We don't have her around a bunch. I'm not going to take her to the hood. I'll take her to the hood sometime if I say, okay, I want you to see what you don't want to do, why you need to continue doing good in school. But you got to think now. I just brought up cookouts. Cookouts then versus now. My parents, people brought stuff, and we were in the backyard, and it was grilling. Everybody was listening to good music, having a good time. Now cookouts are shootouts. That's basically all they are. Cookouts are shootouts. And the music that's being played, and the kids are listening to this, and they're emulating this. And that is a problem, man. That is a problem, and we're not doing anything about it. We're sitting up here, and I'm bringing the race side of it. We want to yell racism. We want to just keep on playing victim. We want to keep doing the same thing, but we're not doing anything in our communities, and this music is influencing our communities to be war zones. Old National. When I grew up, Old National was a place that we could go there and be safe. Go to Old National now. It's a war zone. It's a war zone. Camilton Road. It's a war zone. And we're not doing anything about that. And that has nothing to do with, I understand systemic racism. There were systems put into place to have a lot of people that are on Campbellton, Old National, everywhere else, in the situation they're in. We have too many influences now that are bringing us out of this. But when we don't come out fast enough, or if we don't win, we go back to the get out of jail free card. We yell racism. And my thing is, we need to stop that. I don't want to teach my daughter that's how. My parents didn't tell me that. They just say, go ahead.
So the solution at this point, we need to be our own gentrifiers.
Okay. Expound.
We talk about gentrification. We need to be our own gentrifiers
Within our neighborhoods, within our communities.
Yeah.
We do, but we don't. Who's going to do it? Because the people
there's
that are
nobody doing
decent
it.
enough to that have the money,
So-
they're going to move out, and I don't blame them.
So I like what Killer Mike is doing.
Okay.
I like what Killer Mike is doing. And I really like what he's preaching. By the block. By the block, and then not just by the block, but the economics. So I like one of the things that he's doing, and the issue is he's not. It's not.
It's not enough people.
It's not enough Killer Mikes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's not the dominant. It's not the dominant narrative.
And
It's not the one that's winning.
Nope.
I even like what T.I.'s doing. He's just not as eloquent.
Exactly.
No, seriously.
No, I agree with you.
His actions. I like his actions. I don't like his words.
I understand that's
You
what
get-
you meant. I understand that's what you meant when you said I don't like his eloquence. I understand that. I agree with you.
His word. But if you look at his actions and ignore what comes out of his mouth, he's doing the right thing.
And make sure that he starts to do what we need to do every day, and that's research certain things, because he came to bat for somebody where I work, and it wasn't good. Some kids were playing around with a fake gun,
Yeah.
and they took this gun into a store, and the store owner called the police.
I remember the story.
Yeah.
I remember the
And-
story.
He comes out to be, that's how they treating the black kids.
Right. I remember the story.
Did you see the gun?
And he was wrong.
He was dead wrong.
He was dead wrong.
And then they showed the gun on TV, and not one person said, I could tell that's a fake gun.
Right.
Not one person.
No, he was-
So my thing is,
he
quit
was-
coming with everything,
Yeah,
trying to be.
He was dead wrong.
Yeah, you're
But-
trying to be the black savior, but yet, understand what's going on. It goes back to what we said, I think another time we were talking with, you come and talk about the police and what they do, and they shouldn't have shot him. Understand what happens prior to, and I'm not saying it again, back to every shot is not a good shot. Most of them are, to be honest, but that's not the agenda.
Going back to that story though, I'm gonna say that particular cop handled that situation
Very well.
incredibly.
Yes, he did.
That situation where he confronted those kids and got those kids in order. That
Went
he
all
handled,
the way against the agenda.
He handled that situation so great, man. I applaud that cop.
That's what we do where I work.
I'm just saying. Now,
Okay, he did.
I got to get kudos.
And I was very disappointed. That kind of started turning me off with T.I., and that's not the only incident, but
Once again,
his man, he's his own man.
Once again, man, I like his actions.
I got you.
I like his actions. He's not as eloquent as I want him to be,
I understand.
and I wish he was. But I like it. But I like where he's putting his money.
Yeah.
And I like what he's doing. I really love the fact that Killer Mike is very eloquent in what he's doing, and he's putting his money where his mouth is.
I got you.
And I wish we had more people in that position.
And that's part of, I think Kevin
Yeah.
alluded to it, we do, but that's not who's going to get pushed out to the forefront. You're not going to see us being pushed out to the forefront because of the way we talk and the things that we talk about. We're not going to be pushed out to the forefront. It's going to take our friends and family and those that think like us. That's what we want to do on the show, obviously, is we want to educate. Yeah. We want to get some people to start thinking about these types of things, because understanding in our communities, true communities, things aren't getting better. They're getting worse.
Last year, Killer Mike got Grammy for Album of the Year, Hip Hop Album of the Year. Mm-hmm. And he beat out Travis Scott. Mm-hmm. And all of the kids that were my son's age was like, who the hell is Killer Mike?
Right. because
Yeah.
the mainstream
Right.
radio stations are not going to play Killer Mike.
And I was familiar with both albums. The Travis Scott's album was good. I'm not. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good album.
Yeah.
Killer Mike's album was great.
But look at
And my son agreed that Killer Mike's album was great. My son is a special cat though. But the fact of the matter is, it was a shame that so many of the kids didn't know who Killer Mike was, and the album was that good that they were shocked when he got Album of the Year.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been a shock because the
at
album.
the end of the day, we
Yeah,
have to be realistic with the
yeah.
influence. Look
Yeah.
at, just like
No,
Kendrick
no,
Lamar.
no,
Look at Kendrick Lamar.
No.
Kendrick Lamar is that art. Kendrick Lamar is Chuck D today. But what are we concentrating on with Kendrick Lamar? What is everybody concentrating on? The beef. They're not concentrating on Kendrick's lyrics on other cuts. They're concentrating on the beef. This is where they want us. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. That's why they got rid of Cosby. Because this is where they want us. They want us in that beef mind state. You know, I hate this motherfucker. You know, I'm a Crip, I'm a Blood, blah, blah, blah. That's the mind state they want us in. Listen to the music. Not only listening to hip hop, let's go to our R&B stations of today. R&B today, if you listen to the main two stations in Atlanta, all day they play slow music. All day. And we listen to that all
What
day.
are those main two stations that
102.9 and 104.1.
and they're just playing slow jams?
Slow music all day. We got Parliament, Funkadelic, Cameo. We got The Time. We got all these groups. You can play this upbeat music, but I feel like there's an agenda there. I feel they want to keep us in a depressed mind state.
So what is it? 94.9 is the
I think that's the pop station.
that's the pop station.
or it's the today's hip hop.
Today's no. There's another station that plays the music of today, yesterday, and such and such. I can't remember the name of the station, but they play the music you're talking about. They play The Time. They play all of everything. They play all.
But what are we listening to mostly? We listen to the main two stations. And my point is the main two stations are playing. So we got our kids listening to this dumbass hip hop, bitches and hoes
it's
and shooting,
99
killing
XL.
niggas all day. We got them listening to that. Then they got us, not necessarily us three, because we listen to other stuff. But you got the majority of people are listening to those stations. So that puts them in a depressed mind state. You can't tell me. Yes, I love Luther to death. But come on, if I listen to Luther all day, I'm gonna be like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get home. Man, I'm so depressed.
Don't you?
Yeah, you know, a house is not a home. So all day you're listening to that. You're at work. You probably hate your job. You're in traffic listening to this. You just left work. Now you're in traffic. You're pissed off about being in traffic. You think, I got to go home. I got to cook. I got to do whatever. Got the kids ready. They ain't going to want to do their homework. So you get home, and then after that, you're going to watch what? The depressing-ass news. And then after that, you're going to watch your dumbass, what's the show? The reality shows. And you're going to bed on that. You can't tell me that doesn't mess with your psyche. And these aren't the people I'm talking about. That messes with your psyche, and then you're gonna get up and do it all over again.
Hey man,
it's an agenda.
Let me tell you the best thing that you can watch on TV right now, man. It's just
Okay, but what are we gonna do to solve this
It's
problem?
gonna
But
free
go
your
ahead.
mind. Watch Naked and Afraid, man. That's gonna free your mind.
I got you. But see, what we need to be doing on this show is getting people to realize these things and getting them away from that. That's what I want to get us away from. I want to get us away from, and I appreciate that. My bad. That was a good laugh. I'm hyped on that, man. I want people to start paying attention to these things. Listen, people, go out tomorrow and all this week, the rest of this week, and tell me if I'm lying. Now, if you like listening to these stations all day and listen to this depressing ass music all day, then that's you. But understand the mindset that it gets you in. If you're listening to slow music all day, if you're at your job listening to this, you don't like your job, you get off your job, you're in traffic, you get home, if you have to cook, if you have to deal with children or grandchildren or whatever, and then you watch the news, you know the news is not going to hype you up, and then you watch a reality show, imagine how you feel, how that messes with your psyche. Realistically, people, how that messes with your psyche. You really need to start thinking about these things. A lot of us are depressed, we're stressed, and a lot of this keeps us on medication.
So check it out. So I got something for you, seriously. So do something. Listen to Jamal Ahmed
Oh, yeah.
from
Especially Saturday night.
from 2 to 6 drive time, and you'll hear some music that you probably have never heard before. You'll hear some music from different parts of the world. On Saturdays,
Saturday, the soul
on
of jazz.
Saturdays,
It.
you're gonna hear music from all over the world.
Yes, you are.
You're gonna hear. He's gonna play.
Jamal
something.
is the greatest
Yeah, he
thing to
gonna
happen
play
to
some good
Atlanta
stuff.
radio.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear some music from London. You're gonna
Yeah.
hear some music from Paris.
UK,
You're gonna
but
hear
we
some
said
music
London,
from
too.
Africa. You're gonna hear music from wherever. Just and that's gonna be something cool. It's gonna open up your brain.
Yes.
So that would be cool. He was playing world beat and Afro beat and what's it called? Piano music. They call it this style of music. I'm a piano. Yeah, I'm a piano. He was playing that before it became popular. Now that's so before it became mainstream. So yeah.
Oh, I tell people all the time. I tell people all the time, especially Saturdays. Jamal's show, there's nothing that can touch it. Nothing that can touch it. And that's another thing, people. Get away from mainstream. Get away from that mentality. Mainstream is going to lead you to it's an agenda.
Anger,
that,
depression.
Yeah. They don't care that they play the same song over and over and over
Yep.
again. But Jamal is going to give you something that you're like, wow. Especially, we call it neo soul. I think Jamal doesn't like neo soul, the word neo soul, but it's going to give you a lot. Jamal's going to play stuff that you don't hear that you should hear. Some, Roy Ayers. When Roy Ayers, anybody that passes, that was the truth.
Amen.
Jamal's going to give you the best of their music. I can't say enough about Jamal and what he
Man,
does.
so we got to get ready to bring this show to a close, man. But we're talking about music, man. I got to give a couple of shout outs real quick. So this week, man, we lost some icons, and these are people that I knew personally. I got to shout out to Angie Stone, man.
No doubt.
We lost Angie. Love her, miss her. I worked on a couple of songs with her and did a couple of shows with her. She was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. Got a chance to work with Roy Ayers twice.
Nice.
Uncle Roy.
Yeah, man, he was incredible, man.
He gave the greatest. It wasn't even a eulogy, but it was his way of giving it. And it was actually on Jamal's show when George Duke passed. Roy, it was a poem/eulogy. I'll pull it up. We'll talk to Jamal, see if he can. But he gave the greatest going away for George Duke, and George Duke is again in my top 5 favorite artists. George Duke was that hurt me more than just about any artist passing.
So I talked to George Duke 2 days before he passed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. He was here, right? He was. I think
No,
he was here. He was
no,
here.
I talked to him on the phone.
Okay, I was gonna say he was here shortly before he passed.
So I talked to him on the phone 2 days before he passed. He didn't tell anybody that he was sick.
that he had. What was it? Lymphoma.
Yeah. He didn't tell anybody that he was sick. He was asking another good friend of ours, Phil Davis, to do some orchestral charts for him that he was working on for Rochelle Farrell.
Okay.
And I was here. Phil was here working on some stuff, actually in this very room that we're sitting in.
Gotcha.
And so we were all talking to George on the phone, man, and it was a cool thing.
I know that was great.
And
I met him in Vegas one time.
and he passed. He passed a couple of days later, man. It was a tough thing.
That dude, the talent of George Duke is
Crazy.
Incredible,
Real.
incredible.
Crazy.
But yeah, man. But shout out to Angie, man. We loved her music, man. We loved her spirit, man. And Roy Ayers, I will have to say this. Roy Ayers actually gave me a piece of advice, man. He told me that he said the funk isn't in the notes. He said the funk is in the space between the notes.
Expound.
Yeah, tell
He
us about
said,
that.
he said if you play too many notes at the same time, he said it crowds the space.
Okay.
He said you got to know when to lay out and give it the space to let the people actually, process what you just played before you get into the next thing.
Okay. All right. Well, that was
Also had somebody else passed.
Dwayne Wiggins.
Dwayne Wiggins. Tony.
Yeah,
Tony.
man, he passed. Shout out Man. I didn't know him. He's the one cat I did not know personally.
Yeah.
But a lot of my other colleagues did, man. I know it touched a lot of people that were very close to him.
They were a different group. They were
yeah,
they were a
Sadiq was
distinct
the
group.
though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sadiq,
Yeah.
when he went solo, I'm like,
Yeah. But
Sadiq's
the
solo
Wayne
cuts
solos
was-
on those songs he did, his leads though, they were
when they were
timeless too.
actual group, I got you.
Yeah, they were timeless
Yep.
too.
I'm a Sadiq fan. I am a
Yeah.
Sadiq fan. Oh my God, Raphael Sadiq.
Yep.
True. And let's give flowers while we're here. I'm gonna give flowers to these two brothers. Kev, my man. I've been knowing this brother since '92. Kev came down here from Donaldsonville.
Massachusetts,
Came back moved up to Massachusetts to do some stuff, and then won the Apollo in New York. Won the Apollo, and came down here to make it. And this is one of the baddest singers I know. Bad isn't good. Kev is my dude. We've been dudes since 92, 93.
Yeah.
John Bill, if anybody knows Atlanta, you know a bunch of names. You know the Phil Davis. You know who's my man. All the drummers, Lil Jon Roberts, all these cats are in Atlanta. We have so many cats that are just that are legends here, that are local legends. And actually, I mean, John Roberts plays with everybody. He's played with Stevie and
Absolutely.
Janet, and
Everybody,
Phil
man.
Davis has played with Prince and everybody. And John,
Everybody.
this is John's studio. They all come to this studio and kick it. So I appreciate John letting us come in here and take some time, and hopefully we can be as big as they are, and our names can get out there. And again, hopefully not just to be popular or famous. That's not what we really want. I really want us to get out here and get people thinking. That's why I say when we talk, hopefully it's something that you'll listen to and be like, you know what, let me go out here and see if what he's saying is true. But that's kind of on and off what I just said. These two brothers, I want to give them their flowers while they're here. And I think eventually, before it's all said and done, I used to be a drummer, shameless plug, and I got a drum set. I bought another drum set, so I'm about to get back into it because I want to not only get back into it, but I want to get my daughter into it. So hopefully we'll all, you never know. One of our shows or some of our shows, we might mess around and John gets on the keys, Kev singing, and me on drums. And
Come on, man.
Those are some of the things. One of my bucket lists is to do something like that, along with being a DJ. I want to get into DJing, but John has opened up this space for us to do this, and this is what we're going to do. We want to do big things, not just a podcast, but we want to do some things musically, and hopefully influence you guys to get back into good music, because there's good music all over, but there's especially good music in Atlanta. There's good music coming out of the studio. There's good music on the radio. It's not mainstream. Again, we brought up Jamal Ahmed. Check out his show, The Soul of Jazz. Jamal is the greatest thing to happen to Atlanta radio right now.
Yep.
WRFG, they play some decent stuff as well. WCLK. Let's get away from mainstream. Let's show mainstream that they don't control us, because that's what's happening. They are controlling us now. That's why they just put anything on the radio.
Yep.
And they are influencing. It's influencing you more than you know. Again, do this. One thing, like I said, and I'll shut up. If you're listening to the mainstream stations, and the other side of the dial doesn't do that. But, you listen to a particular side of the dial, the left side. No, it's not the left side. You listen to a particular side of the dial. Not only the music they're playing all day, which is slow, depressing music all day, the commercials. The commercials are dumb as hell.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about this another show.
Yeah,
but, like I said, just listen to. You'll hear the slow music all day. Think about that. You don't want to do that all day. Ask them why they can't play some upbeat Parliament, some upbeat Cameo, some upbeat whoever. Call in and ask them that. And then, like I said, look at the fact that you're at your job listening to that. Look at the fact that you're listening to that in traffic. Look at the fact that you get home and you're going to watch the news, which is depressing. You're already depressed from listening to slow music. And I'm about to end it. I'm about to end it now. And then you watch a reality show where all they're doing is fighting on the reality show. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to go to bed with that on your spirit, on your soul? Come on, people. Let's get away from that. Let's start controlling our own narrative. That's what we need to start doing. And I'm done. I'm done, y'all.
Got Stephen.
Get these lights off me.
Let's start calling you Stephen A. Smith.
Hey, man, you the one that told me to come do this, man. I'd be at home right now.
Hey, man.
Watching the reality show.
Wow.
All right, man.
After listening to slow music all day.
Listen, man. Next week, man, we're gonna So next week, let's continue this conversation a little bit. We can talk about some other stuff,
Yeah.
but let's continue. Let's talk about the commercials.
Yes.
Let's talk about the difference between commercials and black media versus white media.
Let's do it.
Let's do that.
Let's
And
talk,
understand why we. Yeah, go ahead.
and not just radio, but just black commercials
in general. Yeah.
You know, the marketing.
What's
Marketed
geared towards us
What's
versus
marketed
anybody
towards
else.
us versus. Let's talk about that.
And why we sit up here and support it.
Yeah.
That's what we want to get you. That's what we want to get you people. Get us to stop supporting the nonsense. We
Yeah.
want to get away from that. Let's stop
Yeah.
supporting the nonsense.
Yeah. All right.
They'll probably take us out from there. They'll probably,
Yeah.
we start getting them away from that.
Yeah.
You know they're gonna take us out.
Amen. Hey, y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace, people.
We are the cool ass
nerdy dudes. Part 3, episode 3. Really 4, but 3. Hope you enjoyed the show, people. Truly hope you enjoyed the show. Give us your feedback and like and subscribe. Give us some comments and give us some ideas because we write content down. We're gonna come back every week with some different
We out,
content.
man.
We out.